The night was quiet in the wide desert. Only the sound of the wind moved across the empty sand. The moon hung low, silver and cold, lighting up the lonely highway. Evan drove his old truck through the darkness. The road stretched forever, and his headlights cut a path through the dust. He was a man used to silence. No family, no friends, only long nights and long miles. But tonight, something felt strange. The radio made a sharp static noise. His truck's lights flickered once, twice, and then steadied. Evan frowned and tapped the dashboard. "Not again," he muttered. Then from the corner of his eye was a flash. A bright light tore across the sky like a burning comet. It wasn't falling straight. It twisted, turned, and screamed through the air like something alive. Evan slammed on the brakes, staring in shock as the fireball crashed behind a hill not far from the road. The ground shook. A wave of heat rolled across the desert and the sky lit up red. For a moment there was silence again. Then faintly, the sound of something, like a crying child. Evan grabbed his flashlight, jumped from the truck, and ran toward the smoke. His boots sank into the sand, his heart beating fast. The smell of burnt metal filled the air. As he climbed the dune, he saw it. A wreck. Pieces of shining silver metal scattered across the sand, glowing faintly blue. It didn't look like any plane he had ever seen. And then he saw the child. It was small, half covered by sand, trembling. Its skin shimmered faintly, pale blue with tiny lights moving under it like stars beneath the surface. Its eyes were large, black, and full of fear. Evan froze. It wasn't human. But then the child whimpered in a soft, trembling sound and then tried to move. Evan's heart clenched. He didn't understand what he was looking at, but he could see pain. He whispered softly, Hey, it's okay." The child looked up at him, shaking, and made a weak sound, almost like a word. "Mo, there—" Evan knelt down and gently touched its arm. The skin was warm, too warm, and a small blue light spread across his hand where he touched. Suddenly he felt something, a rush of emotion, fear, loneliness, pain. It wasn't speaking with words. It was showing him its feelings. Then, in the distance, Evan heard a hum. He turned. Over the horizon, 3 black drones were flying low, their red lights blinking. They were coming fast toward the crash site. Instinct took over. He picked up the small alien child and ran back down the dune toward his truck. The child was light, almost weightless, but his hands trembled as he held it close. The humming behind him grew louder. Blue searchlights cut across the sand. Come on," he said, running. He jumped into the driver's seat and placed the child beside him, covering it with his old jacket. The truck's engine roared to life just as the first drone appeared above him. A beam of light scanned the ground. A metallic voice said, "Unidentified organic presence detected. Stay where you are." Evan didn't stay. He hit the gas. The truck bounced across the rough dirt road, throwing sand behind it. The drones followed, shining lights through the darkness. "Hold on, kid," he shouted. The child looked terrified, gripping his arm with small glowing fingers. Suddenly, a pulse of blue energy flashed, and one of the truck's windows cracked, but the drone behind them exploded in a burst of light. Evan stared at the smoke behind him. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. The child leaned against him weakly, whispering again, "Mother, coming?" Evan didn't know what that meant. He only knew one thing. He couldn't let the military find this kid. He had no idea why, but deep in his chest he felt something strong, a promise. He would protect it. He drove for miles until the lights of the drones faded away. Finally, he stopped near an old gas station, long abandoned. The desert was silent again except for the wind. He carried the child inside, placing it on a dusty couch. Its breathing was shallow, glowing light faint around its body. Evan looked around helplessly. "Hang in there, little one. I don't even know what you are. But I'm not leaving you." The child opened its eyes slowly. For a moment, Evan thought he saw stars reflected inside them. A tiny galaxy spinning in black space. It reached out and touched his chest. Suddenly, Evan saw flashes in his mind. A burning planet, a mother screaming, soldiers in silver armor, a promise to protect. He gasped and fell back, shaking. When he opened his eyes, the child was asleep. But outside, the night sky shimmered, a strange pulse of light moving far above the clouds. Evan stepped outside, staring up. "What did I just get myself into?" he whispered. Then, high above the earth, a signal flashed into the stars. Far away, something ancient and powerful received it, and it whispered in a voice that shook the void. "Whoever shelters my child, prepare for my arrival." The night was still dark when Evan woke up. The wind outside howled softly through the broken windows of the old gas station. His heart was still racing from the dream, if it even was a dream. He had seen flashes of fire, a woman screaming, and stars burning. He looked at the small alien child sleeping beside the broken couch. The soft blue light around her body was fading and returning, like slow breathing. Her skin shimmered like glass under the moonlight. Evan knelt beside her.
"Hey, you okay?"
He whispered. The child's eyes slowly opened, wide and black, full of light. She blinked, confused, and spoke in a weak voice. "Protector." Evan froze. "What did you call me?" But before he could ask again, the air around them began to change. The floor trembled slightly. The old radio on the counter turned on by itself, filling the room with static. Then came a sound, deep, distant, like a thunderstorm forming far away. Evan stood up, looking through the cracked window. Outside, a strange blue fog started to rise from the sand. Sparks of light flickered inside it. The air felt heavy, electric. The desert looked like it was breathing. The child sat up, eyes glowing brighter now. Her voice was trembling but clear. She is calling." "Who's calling?" Evan asked. The child pointed upward. "Mother." And then it happened. A beam of white light shot down from the sky, touching the sand just outside the gas station. The ground shook and all the machines around Evan began to hum. The beam spread wide, and from within it, a hologram appeared. It was a woman, tall and fierce, made of pure golden light. Her eyes burned like twin suns. Her face was full of rage and sorrow. Evan took a step back. The voice that came from her made the walls shake. "Whoever shelters my child." Evan froze. It was the same voice he had heard in his mind during the night. "Prepare for my arrival." The image flickered, showing visions. War, destruction, stars falling, and ships made of black metal. The voice continued, calm but full of threat. "Return my daughter, or your world will know my wrath." The hologram vanished. The beam of light blinked out. The night went quiet again, and almost too quiet. Evan's hands trembled. He looked down at the small alien girl. "Your mother just threatened the entire planet," he said softly. The child lowered her head. "She is afraid. She thinks you will hurt me. Humans hurt everything they find." Evan didn't know what to say. He sighed and rubbed his face. "Well, she's not wrong about some humans." He stood and looked out into the dark again. In the distance, faint lights appeared, search drones scanning the desert. "They're coming," Evan whispered. He ran to his truck, started the engine, and helped the child into the seat beside him. The engine coughed, then came alive. He turned the lights off and began driving with only moonlight guiding the way. As they moved, the child touched the dashboard. The lights on it glowed blue. "I can hide us," she said. Evan blinked. "You can what?" Before he could finish, the truck shimmered. The sound changed, muffled. It was like a cloak of silence wrapped around them. The drones above passed right over, not seeing them. Evan looked at her in shock. "How are you doing that?" The child smiled weakly. "My energy listens to my fear." He couldn't help but smile back. "Well, keep being scared then. It's saving us." After hours of driving through the empty sand, Evan stopped under a rocky hill. The horizon glowed faintly. Morning was coming. He looked at the little one and asked, "What's your name?" She hesitated, then said softly, "Lyra." "Lyra," Evan repeated. "That's beautiful." The girl looked up at him. "What is your name?" "Evan?" She touched her small glowing hand to his chest again. "Evan, I'm Protector." He laughed quietly. "Protector, huh? I guess that's me now." Then suddenly a low rumble came from above. Evan stepped out of the truck and looked up. Through the early dawn clouds, a massive shadow was forming, silent, moving like a mountain in the sky. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't human. The shape grew larger and larger until its lights glowed through the fog, blue and gold patterns that formed an alien symbol across the sky. The air shook. Dust rose around Evan. Lyra looked up with wide eyes. "She's here," she whispered. Evan's heart pounded. The shadow of the alien ship covered the desert for miles. Its engine sounded like thunder mixed with screams. He whispered to himself, "Oh God." This is her mother. The ship hung in the air, silent and terrifying. Then beams of light shot down to the ground, scanning the desert. Searching. Evan ducked into the truck. "We need to move now!" Lyra grabbed his arm. "No, if we run, she will destroy everything. She thinks you stole me." Evan looked into her glowing eyes. "Then we make her understand." The sky above them burned brighter, the ground trembling again. The Queen's voice echoed through the clouds. "Human? Give me my child." Evan took a deep breath, fear crawling up his spine. He looked at Lyra and whispered, "If you're staying with me, then we fight together." Outside, the alien ship descended lower, its lights flooding the sand. And as dawn broke across the horizon, the world changed, because the war between a mother's love and a human's courage had just begun. The morning sun climbed over the desert, painting the sky in gold and red. But for Evan, it was not a new day. It was the start of a chase. He sat behind the wheel, driving fast through the endless sand, his eyes darting to the mirrors every few seconds. Beside him, Lyra watched the horizon, her small hands glowing faintly blue. The air behind them shimmered. 3 dark dots appeared in the sky, moving fast. Drones. Evan cursed under his breath. "They're tracking us again." Lyra turned her head. Her eyes glowed brighter. "They follow my energy. Can you stop it?" Evan asked quickly. She shook her head. "Only for a little time. But they will find me again. They always do." Evan pushed the accelerator. The truck bounced over the rocky road. He could hear the low hum of the drones closing in. His palms were sweating on the steering wheel. "You said your mother's coming," he said. "Well, she'd better hurry." Suddenly, a sharp beam of red light shot down from the sky, hitting the sand beside them. The explosion threw dust into the air. The truck swerved. Evan struggled to control it, the tires skidding on the loose dirt. "Hold on!" he shouted. Lyra's small hand grabbed his arm, and for a moment everything went silent. The next second, a blue wave pulsed out from her. The air rippled, and the nearest drone exploded mid-air, leaving a trail of smoke behind. Evan blinked in disbelief. "What was that?" Lyra's voice was weak. "Shield. I protect." He stared at her glowing hands. "You're full of surprises, kid." They finally reached the edge of an old mining town, long abandoned, half buried under the sand. Rusted towers leaned over silent buildings. Evan drove into one of the garages and shut the door fast. He turned off the engine. Silence. Only the sound of his heartbeat. He looked at Lyra, who was now breathing heavily, her glow fading. "You okay?" She nodded weakly. "Energy low," Evan sighed. "You need food, water?" She tilted her head. "I need light." Evan looked around. The garage was dark except for the thin beam coming from a hole in the roof. He dragged an old metal sheet aside, letting sunlight pour in. Lyra reached out her hand, and when the light touched her skin, it was like watching a flower bloom. Her glow returned, soft but steady. Evan watched, amazed. "So sunlight heals you?" She smiled faintly. "Light is life." He sat down beside her, running a hand through his dusty hair. "You're something else, Lyra." She turned her gaze to him. "You helped me when you could have run away." "Why?" He looked away. "Because you were scared. And I know what that feels like." He didn't explain further. He didn't need to. For a moment it was peaceful. But peace doesn't last long in stories like this. Outside, the quiet hum of an engine grew louder. Evan froze. He peered through a crack in the wall. A black military vehicle stopped near the ruins. 3 soldiers stepped out wearing helmets and carrying strange scanning devices. One of them, tall, cold-faced, with sharp eyes, stepped forward. He wasn't a soldier. He was someone higher. Colonel Reeves. Reeves spoke into his communicator. "We're close. The tracker shows the anomaly nearby." Another soldier said, "Sir, orders are to capture alive?" Reeves smirked. "No, the alien, yes. The man, expendable." Evan's blood ran cold. He turned to Lyra and whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't move." She nodded, eyes wide. The soldiers entered the old building next door, their boots crunching on the sand. Evan looked around for something, anything. His gaze landed on an old mining drill lying against the wall. Heavy but useful. The door creaked. Reeves stepped inside, scanning with a small device. The machine beeped faster as it pointed toward Evan's truck. "Found you," Reeves said coldly. Evan moved before he could think. He swung the drill handle, knocking the scanner out of the colonel's hand. The soldiers shouted, raising their weapons. Lyra screamed. A burst of light filled the room, blinding them. When the light faded, the soldiers were thrown back against the wall, unconscious. Only Reeves was still standing, his eyes burning with fury. He looked at Evan. You think you're saving it? That thing is a weapon. You're risking humanity for it. Evan gritted his teeth. She's a child, Reeves sneered. She's an alien. When her mother gets here, she won't thank you. She'll destroy everything you love. Evan stepped forward. Maybe, but I'm not letting you hurt her. Reeves raised his gun, but before he could shoot, a loud boom echoed outside. Everyone froze. The roof vibrated, dust falling from above. Evan ran to the window and saw it. The alien ship had returned, lower this time, cutting through the clouds like a floating city. Lightning crackled around it. The sky turned dark as if night had fallen again. Reeves looked up too, his face pale now. Oh God. The ship's engines rumbled and a massive beam of light spread across the desert. The soldiers ran for cover, screaming. Lyra stood in the doorway, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. She has come, she said softly. Evan stared at the ship above, feeling the ground tremble under his feet. The Queen's voice echoed again, cold and powerful. Human, you will not run again. The light from the ship grew stronger, swallowing everything around them. And in that blinding moment, Evan realized the real hunt had just begun. The sky was no longer blue. It had turned to silver and flame. The desert trembled under the weight of the ship that now hung above it like a mountain in the clouds. The wind howled with static and dust. The ground cracked, glowing faintly from the heat of the engines. Evan stood frozen, shielding Lyra with his body. The air around them hummed with a strange pressure that made it hard to breathe. The alien ship stretched across the sky, smooth black metal with lines of golden light running through it like veins. It wasn't built. It was grown, alive and breathing. Colonel Reeves and his soldiers stood nearby, speechless. One of them whispered, "Is that a city?" Reeves didn't answer. His eyes were wide with fear and greed at the same time. A single beam of light dropped from the center of the ship, touching the sand near Evan. The air rippled, and the beam widened, forming a tall glowing doorway. From inside the light, a figure stepped out. She was enormous and taller than any human. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes golden like burning suns. Her armor shimmered like liquid light, flowing with every movement. She carried no weapon, but her presence alone felt like power. The ground itself seemed to bow beneath her feet. Lyra gasped and whispered, "Mother." Evan felt her trembling. The alien queen, Sora, looked down at them. Her voice was deep and clear, echoing not only in the air but inside their minds. "Human, you took what is mine." Evan's throat went dry. He stepped forward slowly, his hands raised. "I didn't take her," he said. "I found her. She was hurt. Sora's eyes flashed. Lies. The sand around them lifted as if caught in an invisible storm. Lyra cried out, "No!" "He saved me." Sora's head turned sharply toward her daughter. The light in her eyes softened for a moment. "Saved you?" she whispered, confused. Lyra ran forward, arms open. "He protected me when they came. He is not bad." Evan watched as the great queen knelt down to her child. For a brief moment, the fear melted away. The queen's fingers, long, graceful, metallic, touched Lyra's face with pure tenderness. A mother's love, even across galaxies, looked the same. But then the human soldiers panicked. "Fire!" one of them shouted. Gunfire erupted. Bullets and rockets flew through the air. Evan screamed, "No, stop!" The bullets hit Sora's energy field, but instead of breaking it, the field bent them, melting them mid-air. In one motion, Sora raised her hand and a wave of blue energy burst outward. The ground exploded. The soldiers were thrown back like leaves in the wind. Colonel Reeves stumbled, shouting into his radio, "We need backup. Now, the alien queen is hostile." Evan ran forward, waving his arms. "Stop shooting!" "She's not here to kill us." But no one listened. Sora turned her golden gaze on him. "You protect them too." Evan shook his head. "I'm protecting her, and you." "They're scared." "You're scared." "Everyone's just..." A missile screamed through the sky. Sora looked up calmly and raised her hand. The missile froze mid-air, glowing red-hot, and then slowly turned around, aiming back where it came from. Reeves's eyes widened. "Oh no." The missile flew back and exploded in the distance, a fireball lighting up the desert horizon. Lyra clung to Evan, crying softly. She doesn't understand. She thinks humans want war. Evan's voice shook. Then we'll make her understand. Sora's ship opened above them, huge panels sliding apart to reveal a glowing chamber. The sound was like thunder and wind together. Sora looked down again, her voice softer now. Human, you touched what you do not understand. My child is bound to you. Evan frowned. Bound? What do you mean? Sora looked at Lyra's small hand glowing where it touched his arm. Her energy merged with yours. You are linked. If you die, she weakens. If she dies, you end. Evan blinked in shock. So I'm connected to her now? Yes, Sora said. You are part of her light, and that makes you part of me. Evan tried to process her words, but the sound of military jets roared overhead. Dozens of them. Black triangles streaking through the clouds, heading straight toward the ship. Sora stood tall, lifting her eyes to the sky. Your people come to destroy, she said quietly. Then they will learn fear. The ship's engines pulsed, shaking the earth. Energy shields rose like giant walls of light, blocking the jet's missiles before they could even explode. The air turned to gold fire. Evan grabbed Sora's arm. If you fight, you'll kill thousands. You'll prove them right that you're a monster. For the first time, the Queen hesitated. Her golden eyes looked down at him, not with anger, but with confusion. Why do you care for those who hunt you? Evan's answer was simple. Because that's what being human means. Silence. The world around them stopped trembling. Sora looked at her daughter, then back at Evan. Then you will come with us, she said at last. Evan blinked. What? You are part of her now. You will answer before the stars for what you have done. Before he could speak again, a beam of light surrounded him and Lyra. Sora turned her face toward the sky. Prepare the gate, she commanded. The desert faded. The light swallowed them whole. Evan's last sight of Earth was the sunrise breaking over the dunes, and then, nothing but stars. Evan opened his eyes, and the world was gone. No sand, no desert, no sound. Just a soft blue light surrounding him. He floated weightless in the air, unable to feel his body. For a heartbeat, he thought he was dead. Then the light faded, and the world changed. He was standing inside a massive, glowing chamber made of silver glass and living metal. The walls pulsed gently like they were breathing. Strange shapes moved inside the surface, or like living veins of light. The air was warm, full of soft humming. Beside him, Lyra floated in a small bubble of blue energy, sleeping peacefully. Her glow flickered faintly. Evan reached out and touched the bubble. It opened like mist, and she slowly woke up. Where are we? He whispered. Lyra blinked. Home. My mother's ship. Evan turned slowly, trying to take in everything. It was like standing inside a dream. Tall figures of light, alien crew, moved silently across floating platforms. Their bodies looked made of crystal and energy, not flesh. In the center of the room, a giant window showed the stars, endless, shining, and cold. And far behind them, Earth. A small blue dot fading into the dark. Evan's throat tightened. I'm really not on Earth anymore, he murmured. Lyra looked at him with soft eyes. You are safe here. He sighed. Safe, sure, but also trapped in a spaceship with your mother, who kinda hates me. As if hearing him, a deep voice echoed from behind. I do not hate you, human. Evan turned. The alien queen, Sora, stood at the top of the steps. Her golden armor shimmered in the light of the stars. Around her, the air seemed to bend, as if the ship itself obeyed her will. You are awake, she said. Good. You must understand where you stand now. Evan frowned. Where I stand? Lady, I can barely understand where I am. Sora raised a hand, and suddenly the space around them transformed. The walls melted into a huge hologram, showing hundreds of star systems, planets, and glowing trails of energy. This, she said, is the Virion Empire. My world, my people, my duty. Evan stared in awe. There were so many worlds, each more beautiful than the last, oceans of light, forests made of crystal, moons burning red like rubies. Your people built all this? He asked softly. Sora nodded. We ruled in peace for centuries, until humans discovered the signal. Evan turned to her. Signal? She looked at him sharply. Do not pretend you do not know. Your governments caught our beacon. They tried to reach us. They wanted our energy, our power. Evan shook his head. I'm just a truck driver. I don't know anything about that. For a moment, the Queen studied his face, searching for lies. Then she said quietly, Perhaps you truly don't. That makes your choice more pure. Pure? Evan repeated. You saved what you did not understand, she said. You risked your life for my daughter. You broke no law of war, only the rule of fear. That is why I did not destroy you. Evan felt the weight of her words. He looked at Lyra, who smiled gently, holding his hand. You are brave, she whispered. Suddenly the ship shook. The lights flickered red. The calm hum turned sharp and fast. Sora's eyes flashed. What is this? A voice spoke through the chamber. Queen Sora, incoming fleet detected. Unknown origin. Evan's heart jumped. Wait. Incoming what? The window view changed, showing space ahead. Dozens of dark ships appeared out of nowhere, moving fast toward them. Their designs were twisted, sharp, and red. Lyra gasped. Hunters. Sora's face hardened. Rogue clans. They hunt the royal blood for power. Evan looked at her in shock. They're after Lyra? Yes, she said. If they capture her, they will use her energy to open the stargates. They will burn worlds. The ship trembled again. Explosions lit the distance. Beams of light flew across the darkness. War had begun. Sora's guards rushed into the chamber. Shields at 60%. We can't outrun them, my queen. Sora raised her hand. Prepare the wormhole. We returned to Virion. A glowing circle formed in front of the ship, a giant portal swirling with blue fire. Evan stared in disbelief. You're going through that? Yes, Sora said. It is our path home. Another explosion rocked the ship. Alarms screamed. Lyra clung to Evan. Protect her! Sora looked at him. You wanted to understand. Now you will see what it means to protect a world. The floor beneath Evan shimmered. Strange armor formed. Over his body, dark blue plates glowing faintly connected by lines of light. What the hell? He gasped. Sora's voice echoed in his mind. The link between you and Lyra gives you power. Use it to shield her. The ship's front window exploded outward as a beam from an enemy vessel struck it. Debris flew everywhere. Evan covered Lyra, a blue shield flashing around them, her power through him. The beam stopped mid-air, splitting apart. Sora smiled faintly. You learn fast, human. Then, the ship dove straight into the wormhole. Light swallowed everything. Stars twisted and stretched, turning into ribbons of color. The hum grew into a roar. Evan held Lyra close as they passed through the glowing tunnel of time and space. He felt weightless, lost, alive. And as the ship burst out on the other side, a massive golden world appeared ahead, floating islands, shining oceans, and towers made of crystal light. Lyra whispered, tears in her eyes. Welcome to Virion. Evan stared in awe. It's beautiful. Sora's voice echoed softly behind him. Yes, and it must be protected, even from humans. The ship descended toward the alien planet's surface, flames of re-entry lighting the sky. Evan gripped the railing, heart pounding. He had left Earth behind, but the real journey had only just begun. The alien planet Virion shone like a living jewel beneath the stars. Golden light rose from its oceans, and crystal mountains reached the clouds. But as Queen Sora's ship entered the atmosphere, Peace did not welcome them. Fire did. Flames burned across the horizon. Black ships filled the sky like vultures circling prey. Energy beams cut through the clouds, shaking the air. The war had already begun. Evan stood beside Lyra on the viewing deck, watching in shock. "Your world, it's burning." Lyra's small hand trembled. "Hunters came before us. They found the gate." Evan turned to her. "You mean, they're already here?" She nodded slowly. "They want my power, Protector. If they take it, Virion dies." The ship jolted hard, alarms screaming. Blue sparks filled the air. A guard shouted, "Queen Sora, enemy vessels are locking on us." Sora's voice was calm but cold. "Activate all defenses. Prepare for descent." Outside, lightning streaked through the alien sky. The planet's surface glowed with ancient energy towers, each pulsing like a heartbeat. Sora's ship dove lower, weaving between explosions, heading toward a floating fortress that shimmered above the golden sea. Evan gripped the railing. "We're not going to make it if we stay in the open." Sora turned toward him. "Then don't stay still, human. You are bound to my child. Her power flows through you. Use it." Evan stared at his hands, faint blue lines glowing under his skin. "Use it? How?" "Trust her," Sora said simply. Lyra looked up at him, her eyes glowing brighter than before. "You protect me. I protect you." Before he could reply, she reached out and touched his chest. Instantly, Evan felt a surge of warmth explode inside him, like 1,000 suns rushing through his veins. His armor returned, forming over his body like liquid light. The air vibrated. His vision sharpened until he could see every movement outside the ship. "Whoa," he breathed. Sora watched him with faint surprise. "You carry her bond well, perhaps too well." The ship was hit again. Metal screamed, sparks flying everywhere. "We've lost the rear engines," a soldier shouted. Sora gave one command. "Prepare for battle. We land now." The ship dropped fast toward the planet. Evan grabbed Lyra and braced himself. The crash was violent, metal grinding, light bursting, smoke rising. But somehow, they survived. When Evan opened his eyes, he saw Virion for the first time up close. The air shimmered with golden dust. Strange trees with glowing leaves surrounded them. Above, the sky burned red as enemy ships passed overhead. Sora stepped out of the wreckage, her armor shining like fire. Her voice echoed across the valley. "To all who still live, defend the heart of Virion." Hundreds of alien soldiers appeared, some wounded, others glowing with power. They bowed before their queen and prepared their weapons, long spears made of pure energy. Evan helped Lyra out of the wreck. "What now?" he asked. She looked toward the horizon. "The Heart Temple. It's where the life of Virion begins. If they reach it, everything ends." Evan nodded. "Then we stop them." Moments later, the first wave of hunter ships descended. Their black armor opened, releasing tall creatures with red skin and glowing eyes. The hunters. They moved fast, their weapons humming like angry bees. The battle began. Explosions shook the ground. Beams of light crossed the sky. Sora fought like a goddess, her every move elegant and deadly. Her hands glowed with gold fire, cutting through enemy ranks. Evan stood at the edge of the field, heart racing. "I can't fight them," Lyra's voice whispered in his mind, soft but strong. "You can. Just believe." He raised his hand and blue energy burst from his palm, a shield forming before him just as a beam hit. The blast curved away. Evan gasped. He looked at his glowing hand. "Guess I can." He ran forward, shielding wounded soldiers and pushing back hunters. Every time he touched one, the shield expanded, protecting more around him. Lyra stood behind him, eyes closed, glowing brighter, feeding him her strength. Sora turned mid-battle to watch. For the first time, her expression softened. "A human? Fighting for Virion," she whispered, but the enemy was endless. Ships kept descending, darkening the sky. The Queen's fortress cracked under pressure. One of her captains ran to her. "My queen, they've broken the outer wall. If they reach the Heart Temple." "I know," she said, her golden eyes narrowing. Evan joined her, panting. We can't win like this. We're outnumbered. Sora looked at him. We fight until we can't. Lyra grabbed Evan's arm, her voice trembling. There is another way. Sora turned sharply. No, the link will kill you. Lyra's face was firm. If we combine our light, we can protect everyone. Evan looked between them. What happens if you do that? Sora's eyes darkened. The energy might consume her and you. Evan swallowed hard. If it saves your world, it's worth it, Lyra smiled weakly. Protect her. The Queen looked at them both, torn between duty and love. Finally, she nodded. Then may the stars forgive me. She raised her hands. Light gathered between her palms, golden and blinding. Lyra reached forward, joining her small blue glow with her mother's power. Evan stood between them, the connection blazing through his body. The ground shook. The sky exploded in color, blue and gold energy sweeping across the battlefield like a storm. Hunter screamed as the light erased them, ships shattered in midair and silence fell. When it ended, the field was quiet. The golden dust of Virion settled again. Evan fell to his knees, weak and trembling. Lyra was lying still beside him, glowing faintly. Sora knelt beside her daughter, tears shining in her golden eyes. You did it, little one, she whispered. Evan looked up at her. Is she alive? Sora nodded slowly. Yes, but her light is fading. She gave too much. He held Lyra's small hand. Then we'll get it back, somehow. Above them, the last of the hunter ships burned in the sky. Virion was safe, for now. But Evan knew the cost of victory wasn't over. And as the alien sun rose again, painting the battlefield in light, the Queen turned to him and said quietly, You have fought among the stars, human. Now you must decide where you belong. The war was over, but peace did not come easily. Smoke still rose above the golden fields of Virion, twisting into the pale blue sky. The ground was cracked and burned, scattered with broken armor and silent machines. The once bright towers of light now flickered weakly, their energy fading. Evan stood in the middle of it all, exhausted, his armor cracked and dim. He looked around. Hundreds of alien soldiers moved through the ruins, helping the wounded, carrying their fallen. There was no cheering, no celebration, only quiet. The silence after too much pain. Lyra lay nearby on a bed of glowing moss, her small body surrounded by healing lights. Her face looked peaceful but pale. She had not woken since the battle. Evan knelt beside her, brushing her hair back gently. Come on, kid, he whispered. You've got to wake up. You saved your whole world. Don't stop now. The only answer was the faint hum of the healing light. Behind him, Queen Sora stood watching. Her golden armor was scratched and darkened, but her eyes still glowed like twin suns. She used too much of her power, Sora said softly. The bond between you and her was the only thing that kept her alive. Evan looked up. Then take my energy. Whatever's left, give it to her. Sora frowned. If I do that, you may not survive. He smiled weakly. I didn't survive this far just to let her die. For a long moment, the Queen said nothing. Then she knelt beside him, the great ruler of a galactic empire lowering herself to a human's level. You are not like the others of your kind, she said quietly. You fight not for power, but for heart. Evan's voice cracked. Maybe that's what being human means. Sora touched her daughter's forehead and closed her eyes. A soft golden glow spread from her hands into Lyra's body. Evan felt his chest burn, his energy being drawn through their shared link. His vision blurred, but he didn't move away. Minutes passed. The light grew brighter. Then, Lyra gasped. Her eyes opened, faintly glowing blue again. She looked around weakly. Mother, protect her. Evan let out a shaky laugh. Hey there, sleepyhead. Sora smiled for the first time. Not the smile of a queen, but of a mother. You both saved Virion, she said softly. The Heart Temple is alive again. The hunters are gone. The light will grow once more. Lyra reached for Evan's hand. You're staying, right? Evan looked away, staring at the glowing horizon. He didn't answer right away. In the distance, strange towers rose again, rebuilding themselves piece by piece using living energy. The planet was healing, but he couldn't stop thinking of home, of the small blue dot far across the stars. I don't know, Lyra, he finally said. Your world. It's beautiful. But Earth is my home. Sora turned her gaze toward him. Your world would not welcome you. Your people would fear what you have become. He nodded slowly. Yeah, maybe they would. But someone has to tell them what's out here. Then who's out here? That not every alien wants to destroy us. Sora studied him in silence. Then she rose and extended her hand. Then take this, Evan of Earth. A small crystal floated above her palm, glowing blue and gold. It is a seed of light. It will connect our worlds. If Earth listens, peace may grow. If they reject it, they will face what they fear. Evan took the crystal carefully. It felt warm, alive. I'll make them listen, he said. I owe that to her, and to you. Lyra stood up slowly, still weak, and hugged him tightly. You will come back? He smiled and ruffled her glowing hair. Count on it. The Queen raised her arm. The sky above opened, revealing a ring of light. A transport gate. The same kind of portal that had once brought him here, now glowing softer, calmer. Sora's voice echoed gently. The path home is open. Go, human. Carry our truth. Evan nodded. Goodbye, Your Majesty. She gave a small bow. Goodbye, Protector. He stepped into the beam. The light surrounded him, warm and weightless. Viraeon faded behind him. The golden towers, the floating islands, Lyra's small figure waving in the distance. And then stars. Endless stars. Moments later, Evan found himself standing in the middle of a barren desert, the same place where it had all begun. The wreckage was gone. The sky was quiet again. For a long time, he stood there, holding the crystal close. Then he looked up at the stars. I kept my promise, he whispered. Far above Earth, satellites blinked as a new signal appeared, soft and rhythmic like a heartbeat. The signal carried one simple message in both human and alien code. A human shielded an alien child. The child's mother saved humanity in return. We are not enemies. We are one. In a secret military base miles away, Colonel Reeves watched the strange message appear on his screen. He frowned, muttering, "What in God's name is this?" Then from deep space a new light flickered, distant but growing. Evan looked to the stars, smiling faintly. She's watching, he whispered. They both are. The night wind moved across the sand, carrying the last words of a bond that had changed two worlds. Home is not where you're born. It's where you are safe. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, Queen Sora looked down at the small blue planet and said quietly, The human kept his promise. Now we keep ours. The screen fades to black. But a final signal flashes, steady and clear. Transmission incoming from Earth. The story is not over.